sir.
Hey, what's up guys? Brian here with Get Out Fishing, and doing a new segment on our channel here today that I'm pretty excited about. I've been thinking about it for quite a while. We're going to call this Real Conversations. Not R-E-E-L as in fishing real, but R-E-A-L as in real, genuine, authentic conversations about fishing. And 5 questions that we're going to ask our guest. They're going to be the same every single time, but they relate to great stories that we have about fishing, things that we enjoy about the sport, and I think it's going to be something that you enjoy. Our first guest today is my partner in crime here on Get Out Fishing, Jim Simpkins. All right, Jim, what's your earliest fishing memory?
Well, I remember as a very young child, my dad worked at a place called Co-op back in Clarksville on the Cumberland River, and he loaded barges. And we had to climb down these steps going down to the river, and these big huge grain barges sitting there, and I would go down right above him. So he would go down first, and then I would go above him, and we're crawling down this ladder down to the barge, and it would terrify me. And sometimes Dad would dump corn into the lake, into the river. I guess that's probably not a good thing to say, but they can't do anything. He would dump corn or wheat into the water, which would attract the fish, and the fish would start coming up and hitting the top of the water. And we'd fish with corn and catch bass and striper and bluegill and pretty much anything. But yeah, it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
Question number 2. What's your best fishing memory?
My grandfather was a person who was hard to get, hard to get to know, hard to talk to, and he was very sarcastic, very, very, very funny. But for some people, the Fonz never wanted you to touch his jacket. Well, for him, you never touched his hat. So he had this black Caterpillar hat, had the yellow, logo and all that, and he just loved it. Of course, he had it indented and, just really nice looking. We're out there fishing on Lake Barkley with fly rods for brim. I rear back, bring the fly back, and I, cast, and that fly comes back, hooks his hat, pulls it off his head, and puts it right into the water. And he looked at me like he wanted to kill me. And he shook his head. He took the trolling motor over. He reached down in the water, picked the hat up out of the water, shook it, set it down, and he just looked at me, and he never said anything. So, yeah, that was a funny one.
How about the biggest fish you've ever caught?
Biggest fish, Thanksgiving of 2014.
Well, he knows the date.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I was fishing on my kayak with Joe Natale, and Joe was on the other side of the pond, and I was close to the bank, and Joe had just left, and he told me there were fish sitting on the bottom, so I was fishing a handmade jig, and I'm just jigging it off the bottom, and next thing I know, my line just takes off to the left. I set the hook, and oh my goodness, it was like setting into a stump, and that fish pulled me around the pond, tired it out really quick. It was 43 degrees that day, and when I first saw the fish, I'm like, oh my goodness. I started hollering to Joe. Joe came over there, and the fish weighed 7 pounds 11 ounces. Biggest fish I've caught so far. It was pretty awesome.
Wow. What's your bucket list fishing trip?
My bucket list fishing trip would be, I think it was it Jimmy Houston or Roland Martin? I can't remember, but one of them used to go down to Lake Okeechobee, fish with those big, huge shiners with the balloon bobbers, fishing in the reeds, and that would be awesome. That would probably be the bucket list trip.
Who is the person that taught you the most about fishing?
Oh, geez, that probably would be not one, it'd probably be 3. Of course, my father. We fished all the time. my grandfather. He is probably the one who taught me patience, as the hat story will probably tell you. And then the third person would probably be my Uncle Bobby. He was a commercial fisherman, caught catfish on Lake Barkley and Kentucky Lake, and just seeing how he went about doing things, and just the whole process was really cool. From catching the bait, to cutting it up, to hooking it, to harvesting the fish. He had a boat, and he had this, I guess it was like a plywood box with an axe handle in it that he used to steer his boat, and he would lift the lid on that thing and throw the fish in there, and it actually had a lock in case his boat ever sank. That way he wouldn't lose the fish, because that's what he did to make money. So I mean, fishing for a living, it's very hard work, as his body will attest, because it's just completely wore out. But he misses fishing. But those are probably the three that taught me the most.
Well, Jim, I really appreciate you sharing your favorite fishing memories with our fans out there, and with the Get Out Fishing followers. And I hope you guys enjoy this segment of the channel. I think it's going to be fun as we do this with more and more people down the road. Nothing better than a good fishing story. I think it's going to resonate with people, and I appreciate you guys checking us out and tuning in to Get Out Fishing.
Perfect. Let me catch my third fish. Okay.